Right now, America's trade war continues to be intense, especially with our neighbors to the north. We're going to examine how much Canada impacts the economy right here in the Peach State. Also, your cleaning techniques could be leaving your family at greater risk of getting sick. Find out the best way to keep your kids safe from germs. And there will soon be new life for one of Atlanta's most iconic skyscrapers. This is The Take. Let's get it. Hello and welcome. I'm Chesley McNeil, and this is The Take, where we go above and beyond the headlines and we look at the why and how stories are impacting you and your community. We invite the experts in to give us their expertise and takes on today's top stories. Also try to have a little bit of fun as well. Today, we're going to begin with the latest on those ongoing tariff turmoil problems. All right, let's get it. A global group of economists now predicting President Trump's tariff policies will slow economic growth in the United States and around the world and send prices even higher. The group of nearly 40 of the most wealthiest nations made new economic forecasts that are noticeably worse than previous predictions. It predicts the U.S. economic growth will slow dramatically this year and next, while U.S. inflation will begin to pick up this year. One nation that's locked in a trade war with the United States right now is Canada. Yesterday, the nation's prime minister met with leaders from Britain and France, seeking support from two of Ottawa's most oldest allies. He says that he will not sit down with President Trump until the U.S., as he says, is ready for a more comprehensive discussion on trade and security. Here now to explain Canada's true economic impact here on Georgia is Christopher Fagan. He's a partner at Moore Coulson, based right here in Atlanta. He leads the agency's transaction advisory practice area. Welcome to the show, Christopher.
Morning.
All right, let's talk about Canada's relationship with the United States and how much the United States rely on its neighbors to the north.
Yeah, what most people don't realize until the trade war actually happened is that Canada is actually a U.S. largest trading partner. Currently, there's about $401 billion of imports from Canada, resulting in about $131 billion trade deficit that we have, which is why the administration has found this to be important to fight this war.
Speak of some of those trades. I think that some of our viewers may not know how much or what kind of things we trade with Canada.
Yeah, they're primarily steel, aluminum, farming products, things of that nature are what we're currently trading.
Here in Georgia, we're several hundred miles away from crossing that border. How much of an impact does it have right here in our state?
It has significant impact, actually. Georgia is a large trading partner as it relates to farming products, and those products are our largest export actually to Canada.
How much, what are some of those everyday things that we would, be surprised by or would go to the counter and find out higher prices on because of this issue?
So things such as cans, Coca-Cola, food products, things of that nature are things that will really feel the impact of the trade.
Give me your take on maybe how long this could last or how long the spat could go on, or do you even think things could get better down the road?
Well, what we know about the administration that's different than other administrations is we have a previous history. We've seen how they've handled this the last time Trump was president. And what we know is that we have short-term pain that's going to happen, and eventually it'll get worked out. However, consumers are going to feel price increases on these things in the short term.
Give me your prediction on how long this will take. You're saying that you think it will get worked out, but will it be for the entire administration of Trump and then somebody else comes in and it gets better, or what do you think?
If you think about last time, China was the primary target of the tariffs, and it took almost 3 years to get that worked out.
Wow. Are there any other areas? We talk about Canada a lot, but there's also trade wars going on, as you mentioned, with China and other places. How much of an effect do they have on right here in Georgia?
Well, Mexico is Georgia's second largest trading partner behind Canada. China's third, and all three of those are currently in the crosshairs. So we expect to see impacts from those as well.
Oh, man. All right. So this could be ongoing. Christopher Fagan, appreciate you coming on the show. And, of course, we'll have you back as things get worse or maybe even get better. Let's hope they get better.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for being with us. Really appreciate you. Today, the Marietta School Board of Education will vote to approve a $554,000 purchase of weapon detectors. The system can screen up to 4,000 people per hour using AI. It will be used at 4 schools, grades 6 through 12. This technology is already being used in Borough County schools. It's sentencing day for a man convicted of murdering siblings in DeKalb County more than 30 years ago. A jury found Kenneth Perry guilty for fatally stabbing John Sumter and murder and rape of Pamela Sumter in July of 1990. It happened at an apartment complex in Stone Mountain. The sentencing hearing is set for 9 a.m. And Atlanta fire investigators are looking into the cause of an early morning fire in Fulton County. This was at McDonough Boulevard and Buchanan Lane, just down the street from Carver High School. We'll get more on that as we learn it. Today, Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens will unveil a long-term strategy today to repair the city's water infrastructure. It's a growing conversation after a string of water main breaks. The most serious happened in June when multiple breaks left homes and businesses without water for 5 days. Time now for your weather forecast, and it is going to be nice today. Can you believe that? You're looking at 74 degrees for an afternoon high temperature today. We have mostly sunny skies out there. If 74 degrees doesn't get you excited, maybe 78 will. Yeah, could get closer to 80 degrees by tomorrow. Now, ironically, we're going to cool off on Thursday. Thursday just happens to be the first day of spring. Go figure, right? We got a front that's going to move through the area. Will bring us some early morning showers. I think starting in the wee hours of the morning, maybe 3 or 4 o'clock sometime right there, and last through about 7 o'clock. We'll have a few scattered showers. There may be a clap of thunder or two, but we are not anticipating severe weather. It's not going to last long, obviously, but the cold air behind it comes in, drops that temperature down to 57 degrees. Yeah, you're going to need a coat for the first day of spring. We'll rebound as we head into the upcoming weekend. Back into the 60s by Friday under mostly sunny skies. You're looking at the weekend back to the 70s, 71 degrees on Saturday. Sunday, we're looking at 73 degrees. And then another chance of rain comes our way by Monday. It doesn't look very promising either. It's only about a 30% chance for some scattered showers. That will come as a result of another front. And of course, it's probably going to drop that temperature back down once again. We're in a roller coaster because we're going into spring, right? This typically happens for us, that warm air trying to move in, the cold air wants to stick around, and so we go back and forth and back and forth. That's the way it works, folks. Don't go anywhere. We're back right after this. Welcome back to the show. Later today, President Trump is expected to speak to Russian President Vladimir Putin as he tries to bring Russia's 3-year-long war in Ukraine to an end. Joining us now is NBC correspondent, Washington correspondent, Alice Barr, who's been covering politics for years now. And Alice, let's get right to this thing. What do you think is going to come out of this meeting? What are we expecting to come out of this meeting?
Well, Chesley, this meeting actually may have already begun. We were told that it could start right around 9 o'clock Eastern time here. And President Trump is going to be speaking with him as he's pressing for an end to Russia's war on Ukraine. Heavy airstrikes have been ongoing. There has been, in fact, an increase in violence in this lead up to trying to reach a ceasefire deal. And President Trump is now trying to persuade Vladimir Putin to accept this 30-day ceasefire that Ukraine agreed to last week. The backdrop to all of this is that the Ukrainian position has been weakened amid disagreements with the Trump administration that led to a pause in military aid and critically to intelligence sharing from the U.S. to Ukraine for a period there before it was restored. That all came after that explosive Oval Office meeting between Presidents Trump and Zelensky. And amid all of that, Russia has kind of seized the moment to increasingly force Ukrainian troops out of Russian territory that it was able to hold on to for months. That was a key bargaining chip for Ukraine that's kind of been slipping through its fingers recently.
You don't expect this meeting to be like the one previous, right? He has a pretty good relationship with Putin, right?
Right, and it'll be over the phone, so the sort of mechanics of it will be different.
Gotcha.
But I think certainly President Trump has framed this in such a way that he says that he's trying to get Putin to the negotiating table. And he has said in the past that he thinks Ukraine has been more difficult to work with than Russia. So I do expect that he'll be approaching it differently in terms of trying to lure Russia in, and he's already spoken about offering concessions on the Ukrainian side of potentially offering land back, potentially even recognizing the Crimean Peninsula, which Russia seized from Ukraine some years ago, potentially offering to recognize that as Russian territory, which has not been the case up to this point.
Gotcha. All right. All this going on while Israel began launching extensive airstrikes against Hamas targets in Gaza overnight. What is the White House saying about these attacks?
Yeah, so this is another, of course, quickly developing foreign policy situation to watch. The White House says that the Israelis did consult with the Trump administration, with Trump officials, before carrying out the attacks. And this began overnight, Israel launching extensive airstrikes against Hamas targets in Gaza, killing more than 400 people, according to health officials in the Hamas-run territory. Israeli officials are accusing Hamas of failing to return hostages as part of an increasingly fragile ceasefire agreement, and Israel now vowing to act with increasing military force until all of the hostages are returned home. The Trump administration has really been standing lockstep with Israel on its military action, and particularly on sort of doing what it takes to get the hostages home.
Gotcha. All right, Alice, we talked about this yesterday. Is there any more details on the timing of the deportation flights that we talked about yesterday? And what is the border significance of this fight?
Right. So this is these some hundreds of Venezuelan immigrants that the White House alleges are all Venezuelan gang members, and they were deported over the weekend to a prison in El Salvador using a rarely used 1798 statute that does not require due process during wartime in order to deport them. And President Trump had sort of indicated that he believes this is a time of war because he's framed the number of migrants that are crossing the border as an invasion. So he argued that this is wartime. That's his justification for using that, again, rarely used statute. But a federal judge had issued an order to halt the flights. The White House says that that order came after the planes had already left U.S. airspace, and this is where there's some conflict. NBC News has reported that 2 of the planes had taken off, but the White House, or rather the Washington Post, is reporting that a 3rd plane was still on the ground in Texas when the judge's order came out. And so the bigger question is whether the Trump administration is in fact defying a court order. And we've heard in a tense hearing on Monday, the federal judge involved in this case made that claim that his order was being ignored. He rebuked a Justice Department lawyer for refusing to answer key questions. The DOJ is citing national security concerns as Trump officials are promising to press ahead. And now there's a noon deadline today to get some answers to those questions and clear up the timing.
We got it. All right, Alice, really appreciate all your insight. We'll see you again tomorrow. All right, if it seems like everybody in your house is sick right now, well, guess what? You're not alone. Parents have been struggling through this rough virus season and keeping their children's toys and clothes germ-free. You know, it's been more important than ever now. I'm here to help us to make sure everything is not just clean, but also sanitized, disinfected, is Jariah Rodriguez, a review analyst with Consumer Reports. Good morning to you, Jariah.
For having me. Good morning.
All right. Let's get started with, how much of us know or can tell the difference between what's clean and what's sanitized?
It's a complicated question, but it's the Environmental Protection Agency actually has a really simple answer for us. Cleaning removes dirt and debris from the surface of objects. Sanitizing kills bacteria, but not viruses. And then disinfecting is what kills both bacteria and viruses on the surfaces of objects.
All right. And so what should we use to get that deep clean in there?
Right. So the thing is, we expect that people, like the experts, would tell us to sanitize our kids' toys all the time, but that isn't the case. They actually say that for the most part, regular cleaning is enough. The only times that you really need to disinfect or sanitize is if your kids have been sick or someone else in the home has been sick, if you wear shoes in the house and those toys have been on the floor, or if there's any sticky hands that have been touching those toys.
Okay, let's move the clothes. Like how often should we be washing them, or is the regular way of washing them enough?
So we recommend, our laundry experts recommend, that you use cold water for all of your washing. You do want to separate your children's clothing, however, and wash that in their own wash cycle, not with the adults' clothes. And if you're shopping for new clothing, you want to wash that clothing before you put it on your children for the first time, always. Even like socks, hats, anything you can think of, just make sure you're giving them a wash before you put them on your kids. All
right, so I understand you're saying wash kids' clothes separately. And maybe I'm wrong thinking this, but it seems like kids would be more germier than we would be. Am I wrong?
You would think so, because, kids are in school and they're sharing things with their friends, probably not washing their hands as much as they should. But I think kids are also in contact with different germs. than adults may be.
Okay.
When we're going to work and we're taking public transportation, maybe. Depending on what sort of sector that we're working in, maybe we have people who work in construction, and those are different debris that we don't want to transfer onto our kids' clothes.
Gotcha. Okay, so what if you have a multiple age household where you have maybe a baby, then you got a toddler, or maybe an older child? Should all those be different? Should it be 3 separate, washes?
I'd say the baby clothes absolutely goes in their own wash cycle. For the older children, the toddlers who have more developed immune systems, you can go ahead and wash all that clothing together.
Gotcha. Is there any kind of detergent that we need to be focused on? Or what should we focus on and what should we avoid?
Yeah, so absolutely. For kids, especially younger kids, babies, or anyone in the home who has allergies or very sensitive skin, you want to use something that's hypoallergenic or fragrance-free. Just make sure to take a look at those ingredients on the back, because fragrance is such a allergen, especially for young children.
Is there a one clean for all when it comes to the toys? Obviously, toys have different textures, different materials, that kind of thing. What do you use to clean the kids' toys with?
So for the most part, all you need is a mix of some dish soap and water. You make a little soapy water, and if you're not sure if something can be soaked completely underwater, you just wet a damp cloth and you just wipe the surface of those toys. Let them air dry in between use. And you do that once a week or so, or whenever they start to look kind of gunky, and that's enough.
Jadira, when I was younger, right, and I hate to say back in the day, they used to tell us that some germs were good for us. Have times changed? I mean, is there a difference now than it was back then?
Absolutely not. That is absolutely still the case. That is why experts recommend regular cleaning over sanitizing unless you absolutely have to. They were told all the time not to use antibacterial dish soap. We shouldn't use antibacterial hand soap because you don't want to overdo it. Those germs are good for you. They're helping your immune system to fight off viruses and bacteria that you may encounter in the future. If they don't encounter them at all, then our body doesn't know how to fight them.
Right. So, it was all right being a little bit germy, we had mud pies and things like that.
That's right.
Jadira Rodriguez, really appreciate you being with us. Thanks for your insight.
All right, thank you.
All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We're back right after this. All right, for close to a half a century, this building served as one of the most unique to grace the Atlanta skyline. It started out as the Omni International Complex in 1976, but in 1987, the cable news network moved in and the site was renamed the CNN Center. But last year, CNN completed a move back to its roots at the Techwood campus over in Midtown. That opened the door for commercial real estate firm CP Group to bring new life to the historic building. Here to discuss the project is Chris Ekus. He is the founding partner of CP Group. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Glad you came in. And tell us about this unique building. What makes the building so unique?
I mean, it's a landmark. So I think, we've been super excited for a few years now that we've owned it to really get started on the redevelopment of the project and deliver something incredible for downtown Atlanta.
What made you guys look at this particular building? Is it just because of its location, or you're saying it's just an icon, so you just kind of scoop it up? What made you go for it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think all of the above, right? So I think it's an intersection of timing and opportunity here. And as you look at downtown Atlanta, specifically kind of the entertainment district that surrounds us down there with the convention center, all the arenas, all the excitement with the park, it's a great time to get this project back and get started on kind of relaunching that entire energy in that corridor.
Share with us what you can about your plans.
Yeah, so we have a lot going on. So if anybody's been down there recently, you'll see there's a lot of construction happening. We just kicked off back in December, about $35 million worth of renovation work, really focused on some visually stunning LED billboards that you'll see on the side of the building. We've done massive renovations to the entrances, both facing the convention center and the Centennial Olympic Park Drive side. The interior of the project's getting underway shortly as well. We've got some restaurants underway. A lot of exciting things. It'll be a place where the community can really get together before, after, during all the exciting events that happen in downtown and enjoy themselves with their family and friends. Yeah,
we were looking at some of the renderings as you were speaking. And is there anything, now you've seen this building obviously prior to what you guys are about to do. Is there any parts of it that you'll try to keep just for historic value, or will you just completely renovate it?
No, there's absolutely. And I think, I don't want to give away all the surprises, but I think there'll be some exciting parts that are a bit of a nod to the legacy there. That we intend to kind of keep and restore to their former glory. But it's been really exciting to get to work on this project. And I think knowing that most of the viewers here probably have been in this project at some point, I think they're going to be very excited with a lot of the improvements we're going to make and really make it something that's sort of the 2.0 version of the community gathering spot in downtown Atlanta.
I was just about to ask you, and again, not trying to give it all away, but could we compare it to? Like, will it be something totally unique that we've never seen before, or what would it be comparative to without you giving too much away?
Of course, yeah. I think as you look around, Atlanta, the Southeast, or even the United States, there's a lot of very successful mixed-use projects, and so we've spent a ton of time these last few years really studying a lot of those projects and kind of cherry picking out what we think are kind of the best attributes, and then working with some really, really great designers and architects to implement them in a way that's unique for Atlanta. So we've been bringing in some of the local Atlanta art scene, working with a lot of local restaurants and vendors on that side, but then also we'll sprinkle in some of the more national type brands. So I don't think it'll be revolutionary from a standpoint of a real estate development, but I think it'll be something that'll be really refreshing and enjoyable. And we're really trying to aim to satisfy the entire demographic that is all over downtown Atlanta, which is super exciting because when you look at all the tourism that this city brings in.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Atlanta's the 4th largest tourism city in the United States. So you get a lot of people from all over the country and the world that come through that area. So we're really trying to serve that entire customer base.
Speaking of which, we got some big time events coming to Atlanta in the future here. You got the World Cup coming next year, right? We got a future Super Bowl. We got the NCAA Final Four, et cetera, et cetera. Are you under a time crunch to get it done before these events come in?
We're in the real estate business. We're always in a time crunch. No, but seriously speaking, you highlight a lot of the great events, but what I've realized is that between State Farm Arena and Mercedes-Benz Stadium and the Convention Center, there's always something going on in downtown. And yes, faster is better. So World Cup obviously is a very large one, as you point out, but there's a lot of other things going on. So yeah, we are under a very tight timeline to deliver all these things and are excited that hammers are swinging down there and we'll get it done quickly.
Chris, really appreciate you joining us on the show today, man.
This is great. I appreciate you having me.
All right, can't wait to see the new product.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You do the same, do the same. Folks, don't go anywhere. My final take when we return. Once again, take a look at your forecast for today. It's going to be a nice one out there. 74 degrees for your afternoon high temperature. We'll do 78 on Wednesday under mostly to partly sunny skies, we'll say. A cold front will be coming through. It's going to come through during the wee hours of the morning. Those systems have been coming through like that here lately. It will sweep through and cool us back down. That's the good news right there. So some good news right there. All right, take a look at this. A wild scene out of Long Island, New York. Shocking video showing the moment a speeding driver comes crashing through a neighborhood backyard, skimming the top of a family pool before landing on its other side. Thankfully, no one was injured by this, but to add insult to injury, the driver, who appeared to be unharmed, is seen getting out of his car and fleeing the scene. Just gonna leave. Look at that. I'm out of here. Meanwhile, the family is left to clean up the pool. They have to have a hazmat team come in and clean up all the oils and the gas left behind. The pool deck and the fence obviously was destroyed. That's a nice looking car too. Can you believe that? All right, before we go, my moment is in. Singer Mariah Carey, she was honored at the iHeart Music Awards last night, and with an honor comes a musical tribute, right? So Tori Kelly and Mooney Long were selected to sing a few of her hits, and Mariah's facial expression really says it all. She was not impressed. Mariah is an icon, so which singer do you get to give her voice the justice it deserves? I don't think you can do anybody. You just do a voiceover, video montage, and you let the songs speak for themselves. Besides maybe Whitney Houston, I can't think of another voice that would do her song some justice. Maybe Ariana Grande? I want you to decide, folks. Tell us who you would get. Who would you pick to do a tribute to Mariah Carey? Let us know by giving us your take at 404, text the number 404-885-7600, 404-885-7600. We'll let you know on the show tomorrow.